Manchester United are back in the Champions League.
6 on the clock, Manchester United 1, Liverpool 0, and it's Matheus Cunha.
The last time they played Champions League football, Onana was in goal, Anthony and Garnacho were on the wings. Things have changed.
Might be 2 now, it is 2! And Benjamin Sesko has got his goal!
This might actually be ruled out for the faintest of handballs. It might just have a whisker onto his left hand.
The goal stands, it is Manchester United 2, Liverpool 0. I would have been surprised if that got chalked off.
I don't think it can come to a surprise to anyone who saw Liverpool this season that if there was a decision that could have gone either way, we all know this season what the outcome for Liverpool is.
Manchester United 2, Liverpool 1, and it's come from Dominic Szoboszlai. Well, it's Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2, and Cody Gakpo is the man who's put the ball in the back of United's net.
Blunder and another blunder, and Liverpool were level.
Manchester United 3, Liverpool 2, and it came from Kobbie Mainoo.
To score the winner against Liverpool to put us in the position was obviously very special for him.
Finished 3-2. It was a great game for the neutral to watch. Coisty, does Arne Slot have a point when it comes to VAR decisions? I mean, specifically the decision not to rule out that Sesko goal for handball. What do you make of it?
Nah, not for me, Jeff. I think it's a goal, mate. I was like everybody else. I watched it. In fact, I was a little bit surprised listening to the lads in the studio who were adamant it hit his hand. It's just everybody might see it that I wasn't 100% sure. And I looked at it a good few times. It might have flicked a finger, Jeff. It possibly could have. I don't think he could tell 100%. And just, I think that if we start selling goals like that, dear me, I thought it was the correct decision. I don't know what you thought yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the replays were so inconclusive.
Yeah.
That's the word. To rule it out, you have to be 100% sure that it hit his hand. And I wasn't 100% sure. There were some angles that made it look like it did, and some angles that made it look like it didn't. So there were enough question marks. And look, outside Liverpool fans, and I know what the laws of the game are, outside Liverpool fans, nobody would have wanted to see that goal ruled out by VAR.
Yeah.
Just nobody. Look, joining us now to tell us if it's just a matter of time before he's confirmed as full-time boss, the Guardian's Manchester correspondent, Jamie Jackson. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Jamie, how you doing? And more importantly, how's Michael Carrick doing? And when will he be appointed as Manchester United's permanent manager?
I think he's doing very well. I think it's 32 points from 42 available since he came in. That's 14 Premier League games. Well, now they've sealed Champions League football under him. If they're going to give it to him, why not sort of announce it, I don't know, today, tomorrow? Just because that way, if you think about recruitment, taking United to the next level, as Carrick would hope to do, then, the sooner players, agents, etc., know who the permanent manager is going to be, then obviously that helps with regard to conversations. It's definitely his to lose now. I think it'd be absolutely astounding. And sort of baffling, really, if he's not offered it. 2 or 3 weeks ago, even when they were sort of just post the Leeds defeat, if you remember that one, the 2-1 at Old Trafford, there were still some question marks, as I understood it, about his candidacy. But I think now, as I say, he's sort of favourite, and he's a very impressive character. He's very calm, very cool. But most importantly, he's getting the results. And there was a little moment after the game yesterday in which Diallo, who'd come on just at the second half and gave away the pass for Liverpool's opener, so he made a big howler, basically. And Carrick, they've sealed Champions League football. Everyone's happy. Everyone's on the pitch at Old Trafford. But he goes to Diallo and just gives him a hug or has a word with him. And I think that's just, a little insight into his man management, which, from what I'm told, he's very, very... good, adept at, and that's obviously a massive part of the modern game. How you sort of motivate players.
Jamie, there's so many positives to be taken from since he's taken over. I mean, the first thing that would be glaringly obvious would be playing a formation that people enjoy playing in and are comfortable playing in. Goalkeeper made a mistake yesterday, but I think he's been absolutely terrific. There's a back four that's got confidence in him. The return to form of Casemiro, Manu coming back in, arguably one of, if not the player this year, and Fernandes, Šeško scoring goals. The new signings look the part. I mean, the transformation, quite frankly, has been remarkable.
Yeah, and I have to say, and I'm glad you brought this up, Ali, it makes the appointment of Amorim even more ridiculous. Yes, and, that might sound a bit of an emotive word, but if you actually zoom out from it, they brought in a gentleman who, I know he was a rising sort of star of European football, apparently, coaching-wise, but who played this system. And it wasn't so much that he played this 3-4-3, fair enough, but it was the fact that he was so wedded to it. And, there's no way I'm ever going to change it. It's my way or the highway. And that's just not, that is not flexible. That is not fluid. I've never managed a top team. I've never played football at any level. But I think anyone with common sense who looks at football a lot, who's an observer, I'm paid to observe it. I've seen many managers down the years. If it's not in your sort of skill set to be able to change a formation and, adapt to a league, then what are you doing at sort of any club, really? Never mind Manchester United. So it was a ridiculous decision. But yes, then to bring Carrick in sort of early Jan, has obviously been the right one. And, you just went through it all. Then Manu, for me, is the biggest emblem. I mean, this I think amazing footballer had not started in the Premier League under Amorim. I think his only start was the Grimsby Carabao Cup game, in which they obviously lost on penalties. I was there that night. This is Manu I'm talking about. And, how can you, especially when the team is not playing particularly well, how can you leave out, a guy who's won an FA Cup final for you, scoring the winner, starting the European Championship final for England. We all know what he'd done. And now, and Carrick's right. The last 2 or 3, what he said there, the last 2 or 3 weeks, Manu has taken his game to another level. He's controlling midfield a lot of the time for United, and therefore in games. And, when the ball dropped to him yesterday at the Stretford end, I thought he's going to score this because he's calm. You look at finishes, he tends to pass it, if you understand what I mean.
Yep.
Into the goal, as you would know far better than me, Ali. That's the way to do it, right?
It was a beautiful finish, it really was. It obviously it's always like coming in at his left-hand side, and he'll be aware of that, but it was a really composed finish. I do take your point. Brilliant.
Yeah. Of course, as far as Carrick is concerned, Jamie, if he gets the job, as we sort of assume he will, expectations next season are going to be very different, because United fans now are going to be looking for them to push on and maybe challenge. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the reason why I'm smiling is I've been around the block so many times with managers and false dawns at United that now I don't want this to happen. I'm sure it won't, but I would not at the same time would not be surprised. The opening 2 or 3 games of next season, I don't know, they have a wobble, maybe they lose 2 of those, and suddenly it's like what was Wilcox, Jason Wilcox doing, the director of football, Omar Barada, the chief executive, appointing Carrick. He only had 17 league games, which is what it will be this season, as a sort of sample size to judge him, just because that's kind of been the narrative. But someone at some point has got to break this cycle at United. And as you say, if they get recruitment right in the summer, that means a central midfielder, centre-back, maybe a left-back. They do need a few positions. You can make an argument for sort of, a right-back as well. But if they get that right, I would say if they get 3, let's say, A-list players, yes, like, sort of Premier League star level players, then they've got a heck of a chance. And I do give them I do give Carrick a good chance. But what I will just say, it is quite a small sample size. And the one thing I haven't seen so far, I don't think any of us have, is Carrick having to deal with a crisis, like a proper crisis or mini crisis where they lost sort of 2 or 3 on the bounce, as I'm sort of talking about. How does he deal with that? But that's because he's been so excellent, and maybe that will not happen because he will continue to be so excellent. All really Barada and Wilcox and any of us can do is judge on what we've seen, right? I mean, that's fair enough. And, yesterday, apart from anything else, they lost a 2-goal lead, and they still have the spirit, the sort of the skill, the talent, however you want to describe it, to sort of go on and win the game again. So again, another feather in Carrick's cap. And so, I do think they could challenge for the title next season. Now, people might laugh at that, but it's Manchester United. It looks like they're going to finish 3rd. If they add these players I'm talking about, why should they not be able to? What is the point in being Manchester United and sort of being up there, towards the end, 3rd this season, and then try to build from there? So I do give them a chance. At some point, someone has to do it, right?
Jamie, music to the ears of United fans. Thanks very much indeed, mate.
Thanks, Jamie. All the best.